Alex said the expanded playoffs will make college football better because fan bases won't lose hope after a loss. Now, the reason I plucked this from the batch is I get the feeling Alex thought I was going to disagree with this because I am a noted non-expansionist. I didn't want playoff expansion. But I've never told you there's nothing good about expansion. So I've done this take a few times, but Alex gave me a little different angle here to take. There's a lot good about the expanded playoff. It's not all bad. I just think the bad outweighs the good, and a lot of you disagree with that. But I've never painted it as expanded playoff, all bad, 4-team field, all good. Neither of those things is my opinion. And Alex is not wrong about another thing. In the previous world, if a Penn State, for example, lost to Michigan and Ohio State, they're done. They know they're not making a 4-team playoff. In the new world, Penn State would make the playoff. So by the very definition of, I guess, what hope is in this sport, if you're basing your hope in making the playoff, of course your hope would still be alive. I'm not worried about what happens after your loss. Where I think the value is taken away from me is what happens leading up to the game. What is the game itself? Because I was at Penn State, Ohio State this year. I was at Penn State, Michigan this year. Those were do-or-die situations. There was no safety net under those games. It was very, very tense. You could cut it with a plastic knife from McDonald's. That doesn't exist. That doesn't exist in this new format. So sure, those fans walk out of there still hopeful that day. But do you know what the knowledge that you'll have hope after today, no matter what, does to today? It takes a lot of the urgency away from today. Now, I watch pro sports just like college sports. I know you don't get that urgency in the pro game. That's what I love about college football. You got the urgency. And the other thing that I'm not going to dwell on too much, but I've told you is a big fear of mine, is we're going to manufacture some hope-based ramifications into some games that otherwise wouldn't have been for playoff spots in the future, but it's going to come at the expense of greatly diminishing the urgency that we placed on the bigger games featuring higher-rated teams that in the end are going to be the ones that actually compete for the championship. Your Ohio State Michigans, your Bama Georgias, those games are going to have with them the understanding that no matter who loses today, both of them are very likely to still make the playoff. There is no must-see game between the big boys. Why? Because we want to manufacture hope for more. And the third part of that is, what you see as hope now may not always be seen as hope. For the first few goes around the merry-go-round, for the first few years of the expanded playoff, absolutely, it'll work. Absolutely, if Iowa State's 9-3, but all of a sudden they back into an 11 seed. Hope! And even if they get blown out in the first round, it will be worth it because they maintained hope and their fan base stayed bought in. But see, when you observe a few years of the playoff and your mind gets reconditioned to understand these teams that barely back in, they have no shot of winning the title. And, once upon a time, we just treated making the playoff as sort of a mini accomplishment. Now we're figuring out, doesn't really mean much if you make the playoff that's designed to crown a champ and you have no shot at winning a championship. And what if your mind 4 years into the playoff all of a sudden diminishes what it even means to make the playoff, thus evaporating some of the fabled hope that we're going to have in the room? I don't know, just something to think about there. I'm sure I'm way off base, though. Just an evil anti-expansionist here.